Creative Broadcasting, the station of unlimited possibilities, presents Creating Your Seat at the Table with your host, Ashley Little, as she welcomes her guest to the table.
Welcome to Creating Your Seat at the Table. I am your host, Ashley Little. A little bit about myself: corporate professional by day, entrepreneur by night, 5-time best-selling author, owner and creator of Creative Broadcasting, CEO and founder of Ashley Little Enterprises, LLC, and co-founder and owner of Talk Radio and TV Network, LLP. Tonight, we have an amazing special VIP guest by the name of Dr. Pasha Carter. Pasha Carter is an internationally sought-after speaker, trainer, and marketing and sales expert. She is known as an industry legend and one of America's most famous and most influential direct sales leaders. Pasha has built sales organization totaling over 100,000 distributors expanding into several countries. She was also ranked in the top 15 female networkers in the world out of over 14 million women worldwide. Pasha is the co-owner of VIP Global, a marketing company that was instrumental in the growth of several sales and marketing companies. VIP Global, which is owned by Dr. Pasha and her husband, Steve, is the go-to company for massive sales and customer acquisition. Together, Steve and Pasha have built one of the most successful leadership teams in the history of direct sales. Dr. Pasha was personally selected to assist the John Maxwell Company with one of their most successful projects to date, which was the leadership simulcast to over 100,000 viewers in over 70 countries. She was the featured speaker and trainer to take the stage with Dr. John C. Maxwell to launch the 15 Laws of Growth for Network Marketing. This has led to an ongoing leadership forum that has catapulted the John Maxwell Company to new heights of growth and momentum. Dr. Pasha is known and spoken on stages with audiences of more than 20,000 in an arena. She has done thousands of live events around the world and has taught in excess of 1 million people on how to become leaders, team builders, and top producing salespeople. She has shared the stage with virtually every major speaker in the personal development and business leadership space. These people include Anthony Robbins, Mark Victor Hansen, Les Brown, and Eric Thomas, to name a few. Dr. Pasha is a mom of 4 amazing kids and is passionate about teaching other moms how to build a business from the comfort of her home. Her passion is seeing people break through and get to the next level. Welcome to the table, the amazing Dr. Pasha Carter.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I'm glad to be here.
Yes, I'm glad to have you at the table today. You are amazing. You have an amazing bio, and I know you're going to share some amazing wisdom and knowledge with my listeners. So please tell us more about your entrepreneur journey.
Well, I actually got started in business when I was 23 years old, and honestly, I didn't know anything about business. Let me start out by saying that, and I was living in Atlanta, Georgia at the time, and I was literally sleeping on the floor of my best friend's 1-bedroom apartment, just trying to figure out what I wanted to do with life. And I was invited out to a business meeting in the middle of the day. I'll never forget. It was around noon. And I went out, and for the first time in my life, I walked into a room filled with entrepreneurs. And the language that they talked, the life that they lived was just, it was so intriguing to me. They set their own hours. They had unlimited income potential. And for the first time in my life, I got a taste of what freedom looked like. So I didn't have any money to start a business, but I walked in there and I walked out with a brand new look on life, a brand new outlook. And I said to myself, you know what, this is what I want to do. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know what type of money I'm going to use to be able to do it. But I said to myself, if the people in this room have done it and they're willing to teach me, or I can learn from their habits, I can learn what their blueprint was, and if I implement it, then maybe it can work for me. And to make a long story short, I got started in business that day at 23. I rode what many people consider to be that entrepreneur roller coaster, which were a lot of ups and downs. But by 29, I was making 6 figures from home.
Amazing. Amazing. And Dr. Pasha, you are very passionate about seeing people break through the financial bondage and excuses that stop them from reaching true freedom emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually, and financially. So please tell us more about your passion.
Well, I've always felt like it's very important for people to figure out their purpose. I think one of the most important things you can do in life is find your purpose. There's so many people that wake up every single day and they're not happy. They go to bed unhappy. They wake up unfulfilled. And to me, that's not the kind of life that we were put here to live. So once I started really having that success and I started to feel what living in your purpose really meant, I said to myself, I want to really dedicate my life to showing other people how to figure out why you're here and how to monetize that and how to be able to live the dream that a lot of people just kind of put on the shelf because maybe it wasn't working for them.
And that's what you have done. I just want to commend you for creating this space because you have definitely a trailblazer and has breaking many barriers and records. So congratulations and thank you for leading the way.
No problem at all. I appreciate that.
You are welcome. So, Dr. Pasha, you are known as an industry legend and one of America's most famous and most influential direct sales leaders. So, could you just talk more about that and how you reached that amazing accomplishment?
Well, the truth of the matter is, I honestly feel the reason why someone might say that, and it's an honor to hear those words, but it's really that I've just failed more than most people. I've had more people tell me no than most people. I've kept going when most people quit when times got hard. So, although that sounds really, really good, what I always tell people are the biggest successes in the world are always the biggest failures. And I failed a lot over and over and over again, and I embrace failure. I have a totally different relationship with failure than most people because I understand that there's no possibility of huge success without huge failure. So for me, as I've gone through my entrepreneurial journey and I've become, been blessed to break records and be at the top, it's because when a lot of people got discouraged when people told them no, or people quit their business, or people didn't buy their product, or their family didn't support them, I just continued to go through more no's than most people were willing to go through. And that's what I teach with so many of my leadership trainings is not the person, it's not that we're more talented than anyone else. It's when you have a work ethic and a different relationship with failure, that's when you're able to really experience success.
I love that, and I know there's some listeners that needed to hear that, right? Because like you said, you just was willing to be able to take more no's than most people because, like you said, most people can't handle rejection, right? And that holds a lot of people back. So could you speak more about that?
Yes, I think that's the biggest thing that holds most people back because we're always worried about what does someone else think. I just had a conversation with a dear friend of mine, and the biggest thing on her mind was, I have all these big dreams. I want to go after this. I want to do this, but I don't know what people will think or what will people say. And to me, that is the biggest thing that holds most people back from success. And my analogy to her was, listen, it doesn't matter how small. You could be making $10,000 a year or $10,000 a minute. You're still going to have haters. If you take a look at Beyonce, as big as she is, and her and Jay-Z, you still have people that troll them and say negative things about them. So until we are able to separate and not care what people say about us, not care about the haters, not care about the people who don't understand our big vision, until you get past that in life, nothing you do is going to be able to go to another level because you're always going to have the words of people that are going to hold you down as long as you allow it to penetrate your soul.
Powerful. I know for all our listeners, I know that helps somebody because that is so true because you're always worried about what other people are saying. You got to ignore those distractions, right? And focus on your purpose. Your purpose.
Yes, ma'am.
So what are some strategies you would give to listeners who would like to build a career or business in direct sales?
Well, the first thing that I would say is you got to find, a lot of times, and again, what I'm about to say is going to be very controversial, and that's another thing about me because I don't think like most people think. I have different thoughts. My brain is just wired differently. So a lot of times what the status quo is or what you'll read in the book is the antithesis of what my thought process is. So I'm just going to share how I honestly feel. A lot of times people say, oh, well, you need to fall in love with the product, and if you fall in love with the product, that's how you choose your business. I don't believe in that. I believe if you fall in love with the product, great, buy the product. But buying a product and loving a product is a totally different thing than having a successful business. So for me, I look at something as what are the products that are out there right now that are trending, that are solving issues that people are really gravitating towards. So when I look at a company, my question becomes, who's going to buy the product? So I take more of an Amazon approach. If you take a look at Jeff Bezos, he markets so many different products on Amazon. Now, that does not mean that he uses and is in love with every single product that he markets. But he understands that he created a funnel and a system that makes it easier for his products to get from point A to a person's doorstep, which is point B. And so I think that the micro entrepreneur, a lot of times we get so wrapped up in what we like. And it's not necessarily about what we like, it's about what the world is falling in love with. So for me, when I tell people when you're looking at a network marketing company, yeah, it's great to like the product, but it's more important to ask yourself, okay, how are you going to get this out into the marketplace, and how many people really can't live without the product that you're about to market, number one. Number two, I always say you've got to have good team building skills. You know, the key to network marketing is you got to realize that it's never about you, the individual. It's always about your team. And if you have the kind of the mindset where you're able to put yourself and put your immediate needs and desires aside to focus on helping other people achieve their goals and their needs and desires, then yours will be achieved by default. But the challenge is a lot of times when people get into network marketing or direct sales or any kind of other business, it's all about what they want, how much they want to make in 90 days and a year and 2 years. And that's temporary for network marketing. You've got to be the kind of leader where you're more wrapped up in the success of your team than your own success. So those are two things. And the other thing that you got to find is you got to find a great leadership team. If it doesn't matter how great your product is, if the people in your corporate office don't have the skill set, don't have the funding, if they don't have the people skills to be able to run a business long term, it will crumble. So you got to look at all of those things, and you can never, ever, ever get caught up in friendship over business. A lot of times I've seen people start a business or quit a business because a friend was involved. That's the worst thing you can do. You can love a friend from afar, but that doesn't mean that because a friend left a business, if a friend leaves a great business opportunity, that doesn't mean you should follow. And if a friend gets started in a crappy business opportunity, that doesn't mean you should follow. As a business person, you've got to make business decisions and be able to separate them from friendship and family.
And that's powerful. I mean, I'm loving it. I know our listeners are really, I hope everybody is taking notes. But Dr. Page, I want to talk more about when you're talking about how, in network marketing, and I mean, just in general, when you're helping other people achieve their goals instead of, making it about self. Because I know in network marketing, so like you stated, people focus on self a lot, and they might get to that certain income, but they won't last. Could you talk more about that?
Could you repeat that question for me? I heard the last part about the income not lasting, but I didn't hear the first part.
Right. So when people normally join network marketing, like you said, they are about self. Some people are. And so with that mentality, they might achieve that income that they were looking to do, but it's a 50-50 chance that they're going to stay in that position because they're not in it for the right reasons as far as helping other people, right? Could you talk more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, when you get involved in network, in any business, honestly, it's not just network marketing. It's when you are the leader of a company, you've got to ask yourself, what do you need to do in order to truly create the success for your team? Because if everybody's not eating, if everybody's not winning, if you don't have a handful of core people that are happy and satisfied and they're ranking up and they're moving up to the positions and they're just having progress. They don't have to have massive success, but they have to be progressing and having progress. then what starts to happen is attrition. And so, and when your representatives and your team leaders start to quit, guess what also starts to happen? The customers that they got start to leave, and they start to dwindle because you don't have people out there that are happy, motivated, raving fans of what you're doing. And I've always said that the way that you treat people will show up in your bank account long term. So if you have a short-term mindset where it's all about you and it's all about your bills being paid, you getting a new car, you getting a new house, and hey, look at me, look at what I have, oh, that's not going to last long at all. But if you can flip that mentality, and now it becomes about, well, how many millionaires have you created? How many people have you helped make a six-figure salary? How many people have you helped retire from their job? How many people have you helped pay off their house? How many people have you helped bring in an extra, $500 per month in discretionary income? When you're able to look at those people and they're able to look back and say, hey, that person helped change my life. That person helped me do this or helped me achieve that. Then what starts to happen is during the down times, which there will always be down times. And I want to say that again. It doesn't matter how great your product is. It doesn't matter how great your company is. There will always be down times. And when those down times come, depending upon the relationship that you have built with your leaders and the amount to which you have helped them succeed and achieve those milestones will determine what they do in the downtime.
Wow. I love it. And that is so true. So true. And a lot of people, with network marketing, they have the pros and the cons, right? So that's with anything. But I know that you're an expert in this field. So what are the pros and cons of network marketing?
Well, there are many. And I will say this. Let's start with some of the cons of network marketing. I think that one of the biggest challenges one of the biggest cons of network marketing, and, this is a pro and a con, so it's like kind of 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other. I think that the fact that anybody can get started in a business is a beautiful thing. But also the fact that anybody can get started in a business makes it a not-so-good thing, because then you have people who really aren't entrepreneurs, that really aren't vested long-term, that just kind of stick their toe in it, and when they don't succeed, they don't do the work, they don't go through the training, they quit the business, and then they start saying, well, it doesn't work. Well, yeah, of course it doesn't work because you didn't work it, but you were never meant to be an entrepreneur anyway. So I think one of the cons is the fact that, can you hold 1 second for me?
Yes.
And so anyway, so I was telling my kids keep going in and out of the house and it keeps beeping. But so what happens is when you have a system where someone can pay a small amount and anyone can get started, it sounds really good. But then when you have a lot of people quit, then it starts to give the industry or that profession a bad name. And it's not because the companies aren't good. It's not because the products aren't good. It's because you've had so many people that jump ship and go, they're in one day and they give it a try for 30 days. And if they're not making $30,000 a month in 30 days, they feel like it didn't work. And so they just really go through that hard knock of what does it take to really build a business. And that's one of the things that my husband and I teach our team. Look, just because it may cost you $99 and buying a little bit of product to get started with our profession does not mean this is a $99 business. You can build $1 million business from home and all you had to invest was $99, but you can't treat it like that and just act like, well, if you're not having whatever that success is in a short period of time, that it doesn't work, because in entrepreneurship 101, it doesn't matter what school you go to, no matter what economic class that you take, they're going to tell you in traditional business, you should not even expect to look up and evaluate your progress for the first 3 to 5 years. If you're not willing to give whatever that business is 3 to 5 years, don't get started. And that is the biggest challenge that I feel, and one of the cons with network marketing is because so many people get started and they quit within their first 6 months or their first 60 days because they were never serious about becoming an entrepreneur from day one and doing what it takes to really be a small business owner. And, of course, the pros are just unreal because the income is unlimited. That was one of the biggest things for me, because when I look at the gender wage gap, I refuse to go out and work a job where I'm going to earn, if I'm a woman, 75 cents to $1 that a man would earn. Or if I'm an African-American woman, which I am, it drops down to 62 cents on the dollar of what a man would earn. And so for me, I wanted to be able to walk in and say, look, if I do the same work that someone else does, I want to be compensated the same, because hard work does not scare me. Hard work motivates me. So for me, one of the things I loved about network marketing is the computer promotes you. So I didn't have to worry about a boss evaluating me at the end of the year. I didn't have to worry about the isms that come along with corporate America, the favoritism, sexism, nepotism, and all the racism and all the other isms that come along when I was in corporate America at the time. When I'm in network marketing, if I get a certain amount of volume and I get a certain amount of promotion, the computer then sees it and it updates, and then I have ranked up to whatever that position is and whatever that income level is. And for me, that was one of the most exciting things, was to just have that level playing field. And one of the other pros that I love is being able to make my own schedule. I always laugh and say that I think that if I were ever to be voted something, I've been business coach of the year and all these wonderful things, but I would also get worst employee of the year, because I was just not cut out to be an employee. I was not cut out to show up when someone else told me to show up, or ask for permission if I needed to go check on my kids, or if I wanted to a vacation, to call someone and ask if I could take time off. I was just never wired that way. So for me, to be able to set my own schedule, I always say entrepreneurs are the only people on the planet that will rather work 18 hours for themselves in a day than work 8 for someone else. And so it's not easy work. It's hard work. Yes, you're going to work harder for yourself than you will for someone else. But for me to be able to wake up in the morning and walk downstairs, and my office is downstairs at the bottom of my stairs in my home, being able to see my children off when they go to school and be here when they get home, be able to walk in my home office and build $1 million business, for me, that was one of the biggest pros that I have ever received from direct sales.
Amazing. Amazing. And I mean, for our listeners, if you did not know the pros and cons, I'm sure you know it now. And I just love how you shared those things, Dr. Pasha, with, the pros and the cons, right? Because it is pros and cons, but like you said, having that flexibility, being able to make your own schedule, being able to build your own business instead of building somebody else's is definitely a pro. So, and I know you have, like I stated before, you are an expert in network marketing. So for our listeners that are listening, make sure you connect with her if you're interested in being in the networking market industry. So you were personally selected to assist the John Maxwell Company with one of their most successful projects to date, which was the Leadership Simulcast to over 100,000 viewers in over 70 countries. So please tell us how you accomplished that amazing accomplishment.
Oh, my God. So that was so much fun. Let me just start by saying that, because what people don't know about me is I think I'm the biggest kid in the room anytime I go to events like that, because although I love teaching, what I love most is learning. So I think I'm one of the best teachers, or so people say, and it's because I am really one of the best students. Like, I love learning, especially from people who are where I want to be or have accomplished the things that I want to accomplish. So being in a room, first of all, with so many other superstars who have blazed the path in this profession of, direct sales, and have become multi-million-dollar earners and have blessed other people, helped so many other people do the same thing. It was great, because we were able to exchange ideas, exchange information, share with one another, and most importantly, be able to put together a platform and a training program that was able to really help so many brand new people who were trying to just figure this thing called network marketing out. So, it was an honor. And, of course, anytime John Maxwell, who is the world's leading leadership coach, put something together and your name gets tossed in a hat, of course, it is a huge honor, and I did not take it lightly at all.
You know what? I just want to say congratulations for that amazing accomplishment, because that was huge, Dr. Pasha. I know you've done, bigger things as well, but that was an amazing accomplishment. So congratulations on that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Now, you are ranked in the top 15 female networkers in the world out of over 14 million women worldwide. All I want to say is, wow. Can you please share with us how one can reach that goal for all of our listeners that, hope to one day be in that position?
Well, I will tell you this. I wish I could come up with something cool and unique to say, but it goes back to hard work and dedication. Working harder than the average person. When most people go to bed because they're tired, you're the person that makes that one more phone call. When one person wants to sleep in, you're the person that gets up and says, you know what, I'm going to still get up an hour early. You're the person that takes the time after the meeting when some people just want to go back to their room, but there's a line of 100 people and they all want to talk to you. You stand there and you talk to every single person because you never know what your words may be. You may just penetrate and say that one thing that helps them cross over into the success world that they were looking for. And see, those are the things that my husband and I don't take lightly. Our whole thing is, it's not about being a superstar. It's not about people applauding us. It's about understanding the story that got us to the glory. And when people understand the story, they realize, oh my God, if they went through all of that, then it's possible for me. And that's all we want people to see. And so the more vulnerable you are and the more authentic that you are. That's the other thing. I'm very, very, very serious about when people get on a stage or you tell your story, it needs to be truthful. I've seen it over and over where so many times people want to stretch the truth to make it sound bigger than what it is, or stretch the income to make it sound greater than what it is. And I don't believe in that, because I feel like if we can lead with authenticity and we can really pull back the curtain and say, hey, listen, I know what you see, and you see us here. You see all of this success, but let me pull back this curtain so you can see all the stuff that we had to go through in order to get to this success. And you look behind that curtain and ask yourself, are you willing to go through all of this stuff to get here? Because, yeah, it feels good getting here, but do you have what it takes to go through the storms in order to experience the rainbow at the end?
And that is so important, right? Embracing the process, right?
Yes.
A lot of people quit in the middle of the process.
Yes, ma'am.
So collaboration is so important when getting to the next level, Dr. Pasha. So why can you tell us more about that, and what's your views on collaboration and why it is so important when trying to get to the next level?
Because I feel that collaboration is very important, because when you partner up, team up, link up with someone who brings the same level of skill set that you do to the table, you bring your connections that are powerful, and they bring their connections that are powerful, and you merge those two together, the possibilities are unlimited. I think one of the biggest challenges that's out there for a lot of people is we have this scarcity mentality. So we start to look at each other as competitors, and when we start to look at each other as competitors, we start to do things that tear our businesses down and take us backwards instead of forward. Like, we start looking at someone else, where someone else is, and we start comparing instead of applauding. We start looking at their flaws to justify our weaknesses. And when you do those things, everybody loses. But when you have a heart of collaboration and you say to yourself, wow, that's a powerful sister. Not only do I want to collaborate with her, but I want to lift her up. I want to share her story with my followers. I'm not intimidated by her at all. And unfortunately, what starts to happen, and it breaks my heart when I see this, is people start to feel like, oh my goodness, if this person gets an award or this person achieves that, then it takes away from what my possibilities are. And I believe in unlimited and endless possibilities. And I believe that what's for one person is for that person. It's not for everybody, and it doesn't take away from what you're going to get. And until we release that scarcity mentality and adopt the mentality of abundance, we're never going to get to the top and succeed. And that's why I truly believe in collaboration. But when you believe in collaboration, you've got to deal with that person in the mirror, and you've got to have that confidence in yourself. You've got to have that self-esteem, because the problem and the reason why most people don't like to collaborate is because they have lack of belief in their power and their skill set.
Ooh, that was powerful. And that's so important, right? That mentality of abundance, because it will show in the collaboration. If you have those insecurities or if it's some type of doubt, it will show. And I know a lot of people talk about it, Dr. Pasha, about collaboration, but they don't really, I think some people don't really know the real meaning of collaboration, because collaboration should be reciprocal, right? Reciprocal relationships.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. It certainly should be.
So you have created, built multiple tables for yourself. So I ask all of my guests this question. How did you create your seat at the table?
Well, I created my seat at the table by not waiting. I don't have to wait for an invitation. And I think that's the problem with a lot of people, is we're waiting for someone else to give us something. And one thing that I've learned is success is never given. Freedom is never given. These are things in life that you have to step up and take for yourself. So for me, anytime there's a seat at the table, I'm going to make my way in, and I'm going to bring more value. My goal is always to bring more value, because when you make your way to the table, it's not about just getting there. It's about staying there, and then eventually starting your own table and being able to invite others to your table. And so for me, anytime I'm in a room, I always say that my biggest deals in business have always taken place in the smallest rooms. And so when you're at that boardroom table and you're having that conversation, the question needs to be, what value add are you bringing to this conversation and to this project? So I'm always prepared. I'm always early. I always stay late. I never engage and overdo the conversation. I use my mouth and ears in proportion, so I listen twice as much as I speak, and I make sure that I'm professional. And I think those are some of the most important things that you can do in life and in business. So for me, I want to tell people that are listening out there, don't feel you have to know everything. Don't belittle yourself and feel you're not worthy of being at the table. Pull up a chair and deliver. And that's what I say. It's just like, anybody else. You want to be the best in what you do. When Michael Jordan showed up on the court, you always knew it was going to be game on, because he always brought his A game. It didn't matter whether he was sick. It didn't matter whether he was on the road. It didn't matter if he was injured. None of that mattered. When he showed up, because his boardroom was that court. And when he got out there on that court, you knew he was going to give 100%. And that's how I look at my business. When I show up, I'm going to give 100%. It does not matter what's going on in my life. When I get off that stage and I've done a presentation, I've done a speech, I'm leaving it all on the stage.
I love it, because those who show up, go up. Dr. Pasha, thank you for sharing that, because that's so important. When people, like you said, when people get to the table, that you bring value, because the goal is to stay at the table and then create your own. So I love that you said that, because a lot of people want to be at the table, but we got to know what to do once you get there to be able to stay.
Absolutely. Yeah, because it's even worse to get to the table and not be invited back.
Right. I love that. And earlier you spoke on, failure and how you have embraced failure to be able to get where you are. So could you talk more about what did failure teach you?
Well, it's interesting, because I have 4 little kids, and we always talk about this. We just had on Sundays, we always have our family meeting. So we had a family meeting tonight. And so in most of our family meetings, we talk about mistakes and we talk about failure. The one thing I let my kids know is, one thing that I can guarantee you is I'm not perfect, and I will make mistakes. As a parent, I'm going to make mistakes. As a businesswoman, I'm going to make mistakes, and I expect you to make mistakes, because the way that I look at mistakes is I grew up as a competitive gymnast, and I'll never forget this one day that I thought I had what you call a perfect practice. My coach wasn't there that day, so he came in. We had a substitute coach that day, and, I was on point. I was hitting every move. I was landing everything. You couldn't tell me anything. I was ready. I was like, look, I'm getting this gold medal. And so my coach came at the end of the practice, and he said, "How was practice today?" I said, "Coach, let me tell you something. It was perfect. I did a flawless beam routine. You should have seen my vault. I stuck the landing. I mean, I was just going on and on, bragging about how awesome that day was at the gym." And I will never forget. He looked me dead in my eyes, and I was confused because I could tell it wasn't like he wasn't about to applaud me. And he said, "This must mean this was one of your worst days of practice." And I went, "What?" He said, "Pasha, let me explain something to you." He said, "When you don't make a mistake, that means you didn't stretch yourself. That means you didn't push yourself. That means you stayed right where you were." And that day, it was so true because I didn't try a harder skill that day. You know, I did the skills that I was used to doing and just tried to perfect those skills that I knew I had. So instead of, throwing a double back, I just did a single back perfectly. You know what I mean? So I was not taking a risk. And he said, in order to be the best, when you're in practice, I want you to take a risk. In the meet, I want you to nail it and stick it. But in practice, I want you pushing. And in order for you to stretch yourself and go to the next level, and instead of doing just a full, being able to nail a double full and all of this kind of stuff, you've got to fail. And you've got to embrace that failure. And it changed my whole paradigm that day. And it also, honestly, it lifted a burden off of me. Because I think that growing up, until that moment with my coach, I would go to practice and I would try to be perfect at practice versus progressing at practice and embracing failure and understanding that falling was a good thing as long as I was falling because I was pushing to do something greater. You see what I mean? And so that taught me a lesson in life that to this day, I don't even think he realizes how that affected me. So now in business and even with my kids, when they come home and they say, "Oh, we had a perfect day, I scored a perfect this on this," I'm like, no, I want to hear about your failures, because if I can teach you how to have a good relationship with failure as a child, you're going to be unstoppable as an adult. Because the biggest challenge with most adults is when they fail, they crumble because they start thinking, "Oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do this. I tried it and it didn't work. Let me try something else." And we don't have healthy relationships with failure. And once you embrace that and you understand that failure means progress, mistakes means that you're getting somewhere. You look at Thomas Edison. The only reason we have lights today is because, people say, "Oh, he failed over 1,000 times at trying to figure out how to create a light bulb." And when they interviewed Thomas Edison, he said, "No, I just figured I found 1,000 ways that didn't work." So his perception was just different. And that's why he kept going until the light bulb was created.
I think all I'm going to say is the listeners that are listening, you have broken failure down to the T, right? And we all should be embracing the process and embracing failure in order to get to the next level. Because a lot of people, like you said, we strive to be perfectionists, but that's not what we should be doing. We should be embracing those times and pushing, like you said, for greater. So thank you, Dr. Pasha, for sharing that.
Oh, you are welcome. My pleasure.
So what did success teach you? Because I know, failure taught you how to embrace it and how to take those risks. What did success teach you?
You know what success has honestly taught me? Success has taught me that hard work pays off. And success has also taught me that if you don't continue and when you become successful, figure out what makes you happy. Like I know a lot of people who've had success, but they're not happy. And it's important to become happy during your success or before your success, because just because you're making money, just because you have you've achieved something in business does not create happiness. And I think that is the biggest misconception that's out there, because people will work their behinds off and then they'll achieve all this stuff and they'll go, "Oh my God, I'm still miserable." Well, that's because your relationship sucks. You don't have good friends. You don't have good, associations. You don't have a good relationship with yourself. You have an unhealthy relationship with food. And so the bottom line is, until you get healthy relationships with all the things in your life and you become happy where you are, you become grateful with what you have, then success is irrelevant. So when you become successful, the most important part of success for me is making sure that you're happy before you achieve the success, because there is nothing more sad than to see someone who has it all, but yet they're still miserable.
And that's so important, right? Because we see that with a lot of, suicides that have been happening in the last couple of years, right? With some of the richest people in the world, right?
Absolutely.
Happiness
Yes, ma'am.
inside and out.
Yes.
So what can we expect from you, Dr. Pasha, the rest of 2019? We're in the fourth quarter, and I know you're going to finish strong. So what can we expect from you?
Well, I am excited because I have an amazing, as you know, my main business has always been network marketing and direct sales. I do a lot of other things. I'm an entrepreneur at heart, but the bulk of my income, I've made over $10 million in this profession, and I absolutely love it. And I love it because I can take an average and ordinary person and help them achieve extraordinary things. So the company that I'm with, what I love about it is we have a platform where we don't have to do a lot of meetings anymore. We have mastered and taking social media and online marketing and merged it into network marketing and created this amazing creation. So now 90% of all the work that I do is directly from my phone. I acquire customers, I bring in business partners, and I do it on the go directly from my phone. And it is the most freeing feeling. So whether I'm here in Dallas, Texas in my home office, or if I'm in Dubai, I'm building my business directly from my phone. And I absolutely love that. And I've been working towards getting to that point in my direct sales career for over 2 decades now, and I absolutely love it. And the other thing that I am working on this year is I'm going to be launching, my book is going to be coming out, as well as a magazine. And our magazine, I'm so excited because we're going to be highlighting the world's best, the people that are, because like I said, I'm like a kid when it comes to learning. I love being a student. And one day I said to myself, what if there was a magazine, something where everyone can come to and they can learn from the best. I noticed that a lot of magazines that are out there, yes, they highlight and talk about how great they are and show their lifestyle. But, there's so many people who want to know, well, how did you get there? How did you become the best speaker in the world? How did you become the best, chef in the world? What were the steps to that? How did you become the world's best franchise owner? How did you, so the question now is, how did you do that? So we're creating a magazine right now, and we're so excited because the person that has agreed to be on the cover of our first one is one of the most amazing celebrities on the planet. So we are so excited about that. Wow. But what I'm most excited about is the knowledge that our readers and our followers are going to be able to get, and how it's going to help them in their life.
Amazing. So congratulations on everything that you're doing. I can't wait to see all the things that you're going to birth, and congratulations in advance. Amazing.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
You are welcome. So will you please tell our listeners, Dr. Pasha, how they can follow you on all social media platforms and connect with you?
Absolutely, guys. You can follow me. My number one is I am always at some point on Facebook. So you can find me at Official Pasha Carter. That's Official Pasha, Pasha Carter, Carter on Facebook. On Instagram, I am at Pasha Carter. That's again P like Peter, ASHA Carter, CARTER. On Instagram, and the same on LinkedIn as well. So, and again, if those don't work and you just want to go to my website and get in touch with me there, that's www.pashacarter.com. And again, that's pashacarter.com.
So please follow her and connect with her. Dr. Pasha is someone to definitely know and connect with. Dr. Pasha, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your very, very busy schedule to come to the table. This has been a powerful interview, and I cannot wait to invite you back.
Well, listen, it is my honor to be at the table. And before I close out, I just want all the listeners to hear it from my mouth to their ears, how proud I am of you. I know a lot of people who have said, hey, I'm going to start my own radio show. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And to just see another sister out there that's making it happen, that's doing it, I just want you to know that I'm proud of you and that I see you.
Thank you, Dr. Pasha. I am humbled, okay? I am so humbled. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. You have a blessed evening, and thank you so much for having me, and I'm looking forward to coming back.
Thank you so much. I look forward to inviting you back. Thank you.
All right. Be blessed.
You too. So I would like to give a special thanks to Tammy Collins Marquis and John Schamberger. I would also like to give a special thanks to Author Kimberly McLemore and my intern Sarah from Tennessee State University and my intern Vontaria from Winston-Salem State University. You all may follow me on Facebook at Ashley Little and on Instagram at _Ashley A. Little. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Creating Your Seat at the Table, where Ashley speaks with corporate professionals, celebrities, entrepreneurs, authors, and speakers who are transitioning or have transitioned to entrepreneurship.